All right. Hey everyone, Pastor Justin here. And as you guys know, we're in the middle of our series called Let's Play Church. And I'm so grateful that all of you are just trusting me with your time and your energy to learn something new. You guys know I talk all the time about wisdom, being willing to learn something, to unlearn something, and to relearn something. And so as we've navigated, we talked about artificial intelligence. And this week, I'm super excited to engage in cryptocurrency. About a month and a half ago, I was privileged to go to a conference called Blackest Tech in Atlanta. And it woke something up in me that I've let sit dormant for a second. And on the last day, at the last session, I ran across this young man here near Christopher Perceptions. Now, check this out. Christopher is from my hometown in Milwaukee. Christopher and I have a very similar journey when it comes to understanding faith as well as then technology. And he's done some amazing work that he'll tell you about in a second. And it was at the end of that session when I went and shared my story with him and who I was. And he said to me, I never will forget, we need more people who are saved in these spaces. And so for me, friendship, and to whoever's listening to this, I want you to understand that there's a space where God needs your voice, but I also want us to be educated as we get into that space. And so for us, as we think about how we are well with our faith, our family, our fitness, and our finances, today I want to engage in cryptocurrency with an author as well. I have this book. I've read part of it, and it has helped me and my wife make some very wise decisions in the secrets of Satoshi, which have a chance to talk about. But friendship, help me welcome Christopher Perceptions. Chris, man, thanks for coming all the way to Vallejo with us, man.
Oh man, I love California. I lived in downtown LA for a little bit. Didn't get a chance to go to Vallejo, but heard good things. And the fact that you were there, yeah, I love the fact that the kingdom is being represented. So shine light, shine light, shine light.
Yeah, man. No, thank you. Man, if you just give us like a large overview, like who are you? Like how did you get to where you are today? Like in like a 5 minute spit, like who is Christopher, man?
Deep. So since I'm speaking to the body, I can speak very, very freely. So mother, Christian evangelist, um, dad was in and out of my life. He was a drug dealer. So not only was he a drug dealer, he was a drug dealer that did voodoo. So
Oh,
I
wow.
would go to the trap house and I would see the usual things that people brag about with props in music videos, but like maybe the serial numbers were scratched off of the guns, maybe the bullets and all of that stuff. But I also remember there being a room where there was an altar. I would see burnt money,
Wow.
maybe some blood, and kilos of cocaine would appear. So
Wow.
it's I've seen some things that definitely I felt that tug of war at a very young age. So with my mother, I would literally on any given Sunday be around clergymen, self-made millionaires, politicians. With my dad, I'd be around murderers, prostitutes, drug dealers, etc.
Wow.
Um, so I understood that we all need money, and people in the world often misquote the scripture, for the love of money is the root of all evil.
Mhm.
They always say money is the root of all evil. It's almost like saying air is the root of all evil. It's like bad air is probably bad for you.
Yeah.
Loving something that can be printed at will is probably bad. But
Yeah.
for me, I had a chance to study people up close, and I saw that if people had better access to things, their value systems wouldn't be as shaky. Um, and that's where my journey really began, not only in tech, but also in art, experiencing a lot of trauma in my environment and speaking like generationally. Like my grandfather was a pimp, my dad was a drug dealer, I was the firstborn. There were certain things that I think the other side expected of me. But I had a praying mother and a praying grandmother, thank the Lord.
Yeah, man.
Um, so with that, the tug of war happened for some years, and then God found me literally in downtown LA.
Wow.
I was outside, as they say, we outside. He found me outside,
Wow,
um,
man.
and I've been with the Lord ever since. So during my time of trying to find my way in the world, it was two paths. It was either tech or it was art.
Yeah.
Art worked for a point of getting me out of the urban environment. So I exhibited fine art photography in museums and in galleries, and went to California to try and make it big, like every naive Midwest kid probably does. But what they don't tell you is that California is a testing ground, and if you don't know who you are, you will be tested. Um, so God found me, saved me from some things, and I'm reading about Abraham, and the Lord's like, "Well, I want you to change the perception of men in your family." So I legally got my last name changed to Perceptions.
Wow. Wow.
So like a Abram Abraham. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like the origin story before we even get into the text.
Wow. Man, one of the things I always talk about is I tell my church, I said, it's not Jesus isn't lost, we are, right? And we realize that we're the ones to hear that. Like, yeah, it's not you didn't find Jesus, he found you. And God
Right.
came and found you, man. And thank you for that story. I was curious about your last name, man. I hear that. That's so wonderful. I love the truth behind that, man. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And it's funny, not that it was triggering, but it was kind of funny when you mentioned a Midwestern kid coming to California to find themselves. And I'm like, wait a minute.
It was no shot, no shade,
No,
I
I know,
promise.
I know.
I was speaking about myself.
No, I know. It's just funny you say that, man, because I've been here for a little over a year, and when I tell you my mother passed away 2 months after I came here, and
So sorry.
my no, thank you, and my life, man, just shifted. I've given grace in a way I didn't even know I knew how to give grace. And so when you mention that, it's kind of funny, and I'm like, that's a way to put it. Just I've been here a year, man, and just the growth personally I've experienced and the willingness to do some stuff has been amazing. So hearing that is like I'm definitely gonna probably write that someplace. So thank you. So man, you work in tech. You also mentioned work in arts. What inspired you and to get into the tech world?
Honestly, I was about 12 years old. I was reading books on how to trade stocks and how to get into coding. So
Mhm.
programming, writing, using Dreamweaver for those who remember. I'm definitely aging myself. But teaching myself HTML, CSS, but there were gunshots going off every night and police sirens. So it's very hard to focus. But um I learned at a very young age that like technology is a scaling agent. Almost some would say maybe infinitely scalable, where you can create something once, and if it's good enough, if it's marketed right, if it serves a niche need, it can scale greatly. And we have so many examples of that: Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, but they kind of combine software with hardware. So it serves as a great access point for a lot of people, but it also
Uh,
serves as a scaling agent. So, as a young Black boy growing up in the ghetto who didn't have the right complexion, who didn't uh, have access to certain societies, who didn't know certain networks, I knew that if I could make it in this world, it's probably going to be through tech or a basketball or something dealing with the arts.
got it.
Most people lean more so towards athleticism and the arts by way of music, making it into the music industry or movies. But I knew that, well, there are not too many billionaire actors or billionaire NBA
Wow.
players at the time in which I was a kid. But I knew that there
Wow.
were billionaires that were in tech. So I wanted to try that pathway.
Wow, man. And nothing's wrong with Dreamweaver. That's how I got into it too.
Oh,
But
wow. I
yeah,
didn't know.
yeah, Dreamweaver. That's funny when you mentioned Dreamweaver. Yeah, Dreamweaver was the way to go. So I've been
Mhm.
Dream. Yeah. So here's where I asked them, man. So I know like your work on Secrets of Satoshi, and where I met you was cryptocurrency. And so the world you're in now, man. If you can explain what is in like a very high level like crypto, and also, I guess, we'll get to how to do it, but what is like cryptocurrency in general?
Okay. So we can actually break down the word to find the meaning. I'm
Okay.
really big into etymologies. Also have a background like in education, from the standpoint of like teaching people things. So if we break down the two words that most people hear about, cryptocurrency, blockchain. Cryptocurrency would not exist without blockchains. So we're going to start at the ground zero, the foundation. Blocks of data strung together securely like a chain. That's
Okay.
all blockchain is. It's an extremely robust or extremely rigid database. It could be for currency, it could be for art, it can be for just whatever nuanced data that a person would want, public or private. There are
Mhm.
private blockchains, there are public blockchains. Then there's cryptocurrency, cryptography, wrapping and securing currency. So if something could be extremely secure and digital, that allows for value to be transacted between agreeing parties, peer to peer. that's ultimately what cryptocurrency is. So, in short, cryptocurrency is virtual value that is decentralized, meaning there's no single point of failure generally. And then that information lives in a public blockchain. And that's where we get Bitcoin, which was the first cryptocurrency. But depending on who you ask, they'll say there's a
Hmm.
difference between cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. Bitcoin is different than most cryptocurrencies.
Wow, man, that's helpful to even just hear it broken down like that. And so, can you explain? So, I know there's Bitcoin, there's Ethereum,
Mhm.
there's Ripple. What are the state like one or two, or three even, that you would recommend if someone was looking to purchase crypto or get into it? That would be the safest or most. I guess I know it's all secure, but the safest ones to jump into.
Sure. So I'll preface this by saying this is not financial advice.
Yeah, I get it.
This is merely educational
Yeah,
banter.
yeah.
And I'm going to use myself as the focal point, especially considering I've been in this space since 2016, somewhat technical, but I still had learning curves. I had to do what a good friend of mine, Naja Roberts, who's on the West Coast, she said I had to pay my tuition. So I've won, I've lost,
Got it.
I've sustained, I've grown. I've
Got it.
done the whole gambit. I paid my tuition for this
Yeah.
information. So there are certain things that I look for called utility. So Bitcoin as a value proposition, it's, I'll actually take it a step further. What does McDonald's sell? They sell consistency. They don't sell
Mhm.
fries and burgers. They sell. What does
True.
Nike sell? Victory. What does Apple sell? Opulence and tech. What does Bitcoin sell? It sells freedom. So if I want to transact globally without fear of censorship, if I want to be able to build applications on the same network, if I want to be able to do microtransactions and send my tithes in the form of Bitcoin to a ministry on the
Mhm.
African continent, I don't have to use Western Union. I don't have to do wires or ACH. I can go peer to peer with Bitcoin. So it sells freedom. So the biggest thing that I look for is the utility of a project ultimately. So I'm a fan of Bitcoin, of course, Stacks, which is a layer two Bitcoin offering, and kind of nuanced language, but ultimately it means it couldn't exist without Bitcoin, and it has some unique scaling properties that helps Bitcoin.
Got it.
So think smart contracts with Bitcoin. So that's where I really, really like Stacks. I also like Ethereum. Most people don't know, but Ethereum almost everything that took place on Ethereum almost happened on Bitcoin first. It's happening now, but the creator of Ethereum, his name is Vitalik. He was a Bitcoiner, but he just was discouraged by like early Bitcoin community members. So he's like, all right, go build my own thing. And then NFTs, the metaverse, etc., really boomed on Ethereum. So those are my three that I'm generally a fan
Yeah.
of.
Okay.
Um, yeah, just from a utility standpoint.
Yeah, that's helpful, man. Thank you. Because it's one thing, even as I went, as soon as I left out of my conversation with you, went home, was talking to my wife because we have a little bit of Bitcoin, and so we were just playing around with it to see, and so we decided to make some decisions with it. And then also I was going to bring it to our finance team, but I wanted to wait till I talked to you again, and everyone has a
Mhm.
chance to listen. So Joe, Maria, Gloria, Brandon, and Elton, listen to the next thing. So why does our community, especially our Black Brown community, man, need to understand and be wise with cryptocurrency?
That's such a good question. Oh man, I love this. So, two reasons. If we look at history from the standpoint of the Black Wall Street, from the standpoint of I believe it's Seneca is how you pronounce it, the New York neighborhood that was decimated to make way for Central Park, Rosewood, anytime our access point of wealth grew, and it always
Hmm.
grows by way of cooperative economics or group economics. Wherever we're like smushed in, we always make something happen. They strip our language, we create slang. They strip us of being able to talk about certain things, we create coded songs. So,
Yeah.
no matter what, as long as we're together, there is always the capacity for wealth to take place. And obviously in the brown
Wow.
community as well. So, if there's a way where we are able to create wealth and create a foothold within something that has global implications, implications where Fidelity is looking into it and actively investing, JP Morgan, BlackRock, the titans of not only industry, but almost some would say the puppeteers of the world,
Yeah.
the puppet masters rather of the,
Yeah.
if they're looking into this thing, then it would behoove Black and Brown communities that have been marginalized for generations, fighting hundreds of years from, behind. It would behoove us to bare minimum look into it, especially since it's censorship resistant.
Yeah.
Um, China, for example, they banned one aspect of Bitcoin called Bitcoin mining, which helps the network stay secure.
Yeah.
And the market responded one way, but the network did not.
Wow.
They were expecting the network to, completely sputter out because a lot of the mining at the time that took place happened in China. Miners just said, no matter, we'll just move to Japan. Oh, Japan doesn't like us, no matter, we'll go here. It's like you
Yeah.
strike one head, five others grow. So
Wow.
the network, 14 years running bulletproof, but then also has the inflation hedge piece of it. If the Federal Reserve is printing more and more money and $100 at the grocery store gets you maybe 2 or 3 bags when it used to maybe get you 6 to 8 bags,
Yeah.
there's something that's happening, even to the point where, pardon, there's a car coming, even to the point where the Federal Reserve went on record to say they're waiting until something breaks. What generally breaks? It's not for the upper class, it's for the middle and lower, and they're
Yeah.
trying to decimate it. So if we're thinking of fiscal survival, if we're thinking of something that is digital, since the world is becoming hyper digitized, and we saw that with COVID, we
Yeah.
need to be looking at alternative assets such as Bitcoin.
Got it.
And I'll take it one more step further from the standpoint of the church. We always have seen, and we talked about this in Atlanta,
Mhm.
we've seen the church do certain things to raise money. Maybe it's fish fries, maybe it's car washes and all of that. There's coming a point in time where homeless people may ask for money and you physically, literally may not have it.
Yeah.
It's happened to me several times where my heart
Wow.
is like, okay, I want to give, but I literally don't have cash. I have Apple
That's real.
Pay, I have debit card, credit card, Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So if the church is doing old things and expecting new wine, it's not going to fit. You
That's
have
it, man.
to be like the sons of Issachar who
Yeah,
saw
man.
the times and understood what to do.
That's it. That is so powerful, man. And I think it's something that's actually personally happened to me too. And I'm forgetting that, a lot of these opportunities, especially with those in our community, you need a bank account. Right. And
Mhm.
so to even have this conversation like that, and I love it because even the Sons of Issachar, man, I'm preaching that on fourth Sunday, is they were preparing for the Messiah. Right. And so if we're
Mhm.
preparing for the second coming of the Lord, man, these are the signs we have to see in order to be ready to be the church without spot or wrinkle, right? And I think that's just we'll miss it. So this is wonderful. I'm so grateful, man. I do want to make sure I give space to your book, man. I'm not gonna lie. When you mentioned it the first time, I thought you were doing a giveaway on stage, and I was like, oh my god, whatever question it is, I'm gonna chat GPT it real quick. And then, but when you didn't, man, jumped on Amazon and grabbed Secrets of Satoshi. And so, can you explain, man, what to somebody who doesn't know, like, what is in Secrets of Satoshi, and a way they can purchase Secrets of Satoshi, man?
Sure. So, first and foremost, thank you again for the opportunity. I think that more people need to have these conversations in churches because stuff is going to hit the fan in a real way. Um, America's not looking too good fiscally. Um, Spiritually, obviously, it's descended into decadence and
Yeah, man.
nihilism and all these other different things. I have to buy like YouTube Premium just to keep my kids from seeing certain commercials.
Yeah,
Like it's
man.
wild out here.
Yeah,
So
man.
I think the church needs to continue to be um, on post and raise that standard. And rather than be reactionary, be revolutionary. It's
Wow.
revolutionary for a church to talk about how they're going to potentially onboard and bare minimum accept Bitcoin as a form of tithe and offering.
Yeah.
Um, because I've definitely paid tithes and offering in Bitcoin. So I think that there's something to be stated there, and the fact that you're pioneering this conversation and you're doing so with grace and through love and let's be educated, not just like run into this thing, I think that speaks of wisdom. People perish for a lack of knowledge. So
True.
kudos to you, man, for
Thank you, man.
leading right,
Thank you.
for real.
Thank you.
In reference to the book, The Secrets of Satoshi, Satoshi is like not some pseudonym. It's actually the name of the creator of Bitcoin. No one knows who he, she, or they are. Could be a mastermind group. That's why I say they.
Hmm.
Um, but it's not a pseudonym for me. It's literally the name of the creator of Bitcoin.
Hmm.
So most people know about it. But it's like, well, okay, that's cool, but I probably missed the boat. So I'm gonna just continue on with my life. But we're gonna extrapolate all of the complexity and we're gonna break down literally the secrets of Satoshi. So whatever question you would have about Bitcoin, 100% sure it is in the book, and it's written in a way where the chapters are literally questions. So you're able to find exactly what it is that you're looking for in real time and just grab it and be like, okay, cool. And then it serves as a reference where you constantly go back to it again and again and again. I personally believe it's like the best Bitcoin guide for someone that is new because I've been there. And I also know how to break down the complexities into simple language. So that's the book. Where you can purchase it at is on Amazon, typing in The Secrets of Satoshi. Also, thesecretsofsatoshi.com is where various links are. If you're an ebook reader, if you like not only Amazon, sorry, but also Apple, as well as Barnes and Noble. You can buy the book with Bitcoin. All of those different things are available there. So yeah, that's that.
Thank you. And to everyone watching this, so we have a couple of copies actually, Chris, at the church. And so for those of you who want to stop by, let's see, whoever can give our vision statement to Michelle at the connection table at the end of worship, the first five people who know it will get a free copy of Secrets of Satoshi as you leave out of worship today. And so we want you to be educated and well on this. And I definitely, man, want to support someone who knows the Lord, who's one of us and wants to see our community grow. Christopher, man, thank you so much for your time and for your wisdom, man. And I don't know, so many people in our church that were looking forward to this, and so I'm so grateful, man. You had some time to be with us.
Yeah, of course. If there's any other questions or points that you think your congregation may have, I'm happy to answer those. If not even in this Zoom, maybe a different one.
Yeah.
I have a programming link that will be coming out soon
Oh,
regarding
sweet.
like presenting things in a more detailed way. It's roughly 30 minutes. So once that is up, I will be sure to send that to you
Please,
so people can check that out at their own leisure.
please.
And it breaks down a lot of different things within the 30 minutes. So yeah,
Oh, sweet, man. That's awesome. Thank you. And I'm looking forward to your future as well. And I'm really looking forward to your future as well and how I know God's going to continue to honor you financially and personally, man, because of your care for him in a space where a lot of people don't want him. And so I honor that. Yeah.
man, I 2 points, 2 points. There is, to reiterate and bring it back home, there definitely is a need for more kingdom people in the space of tech, period. Whether it's front end development, back end development, DevOps, if you're in Web3, there are tons of jobs actually. One link, whether you're technical or non technical, stacks.co/jobs. I know things are getting kind of hard, but there are remote jobs available for people. So that's another thing as well. This isn't just like an asset that you can be passed down from generation to generation, but it's
Yeah.
actually a booming industry where there are tons of jobs available. I'd love to see more Christian people in the spaces because I've seen literally everything under the sun in these spaces.
Wow.
Um, and it's going to require people who have the similar spirit and stature of a Daniel, someone who can be in
Wow.
the midst of Babylon but not bow, be in the
Wow.
midst of Babylon but still have an excellent spirit about them. So I'm praying for the generation of Daniels
It's
to
real.
take their rightful place and give everything to the kingdom of God. Lastly, for me, you know how God works, man. Like he'll give you a glimpse of your future, he'll bless you, and then there might be a test with it. So we see it with Abraham and with his son, and that's where Jireh, the Lord who provides for himself, but he also is a
Yeah.
provider in general. Um, I had one Bitcoin. I don't talk about this a lot because you're never supposed to tell like how much you're holding. But
Hmm.
this this feels right. I had one Bitcoin and I got it when Bitcoin was like $6,000. So
Yeah.
currently, let me check really quick. Bitcoin is at about 25, 26,000.
Hmm.
So um God wanted my wife and I to relocate to South Africa to serve at a village. It's called Live. So,
Yeah.
Live Village. And he said, I want you to go and I want you to sacrifice your Bitcoin. And I'm
Wow.
like, God, is that you? So, um, literally the first Bitcoin that I ever had, I gave to Kingdom. So like this
Wow.
isn't just a matter of trying to time things and whatnot. It's literally a passion point, a mandate, and something that I think that the kingdom is going to be able to utilize from now until he comes back,
Wow.
literally. So there are some tumultuous times ahead, as we've read in the book of Revelation,
Yeah, man.
as we see in the headlines, the birth pains are here,
Yeah,
earthquakes
man.
in Morocco, floods in Libya, everything that happened with Hawaii, tsunami that might, or not tsunami, but hurricane that might hit the East Coast as of next week.
Yeah, man.
The birth pains are there. So the
Yeah,
king
man.
is soon to come. So we need to be ready.
Yeah.
But make sure everything belongs to the kingdom.
That's it.
Everything. Where your value is, that's where your heart is. So my heart is
That's it.
literally for the kingdom.
Man, I appreciate this. It's amazing because I'm preaching Revelation this fall, just all fall. After this series is over, we're
Yes.
jumping 2 feet in, and we're just going. And it's called. I don't know if you remember M'Baku from Black Panther when he's like, "Is this your
Hmm.
king?" This is called, "Is this your church?" And yeah, so is this your church? And so we're and so all fall we're preaching Revelation, man, because I when the Lord takes his hand off something, the earth begins to reject its creation, and it's
Mm,
rejecting us, and that's all through Revelation. I think it's Revelation 11. Like he allowed rejection to happen, and so now
yes.
exactly what you mean, those earthquakes, those hurricanes, the earth is rejecting who we're supposed to have dominion over this, and the earth is not rejecting us because God took grace off of it, and that's what's scary, and that's why there's a sense of urgency, especially what you're mentioning, man, for the Daniels, for the prophets to stand, because
Yeah.
Elijah, man, and Moses are going to come warn us, and the Antichrist is going to be meandering, man. So, yeah, thank you. And so everyone, all the links that were mentioned, so the link to Secrets of Satoshi should be in the comments. A link to stacks.co/jobs will be in the comments as well. And Chris, how can we follow you, connect with you, website, all of that? How can we follow your story, man?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, and I have a personal website. So, literally CMP, so Christopher McIntyre Perceptions, GFB, God Family Business, CMP GFB. That's my screen name, username, whatever you want to call it, for Twitter and for Instagram. And that is also my website, cmpgfb.com.
Perfect. Friendship in the comments, wherever you are, and in the sanctuary. Let's give it up for Christopher. Christopher, thank you so much. Friendship, let's jump back into the rest of our days. And I'm looking forward to see what God does through you as we continue to play church.